If you guys were here on, what day is it, Sunday? Friday night, during the instructor demos, you guys heard the opening drums to Sing, 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 which you all know so well, but then you saw something that you don't know so well. This gentleman just ripped up the floor for a couple minutes and then dropped the mic and left it, and as well he should have. He put in an incredible performance. We're going to talk about his dance history, we're going to talk about his performance in some things on Broadway and in the movies. He's an amazing dancer, he's a tap dancer, and I am honored to be here today. You should please welcome Mr. Alde Jr.
Okay, thank you.
So, did you guys
Get started?
absolutely?
Okay.
You run the interview. I don't need you.
No. It's pronounced Alde.
Alde, I am so sorry. Alde Lewis.
As an aldehyde.
I got it. Where does that name come from?
Well, I'm a junior, so I can't really.
So close to your head. That's an easy answer. I should have put that together. Alde, I apologize.
No problem.
Thank you. So, I'm just gonna keep calling you Mr. Lewis then.
Alde's fine.
Where do you come from?
I'm originally from Flint, Michigan. But I spent 15 years in New York. Did a couple of Broadway shows. Did some film and television. So, but that's where I'm from. I'm from Michigan.
From Michigan. How did you make your way to New York City? That's where I'm from, by the way.
Yes.
That's the name of the Sorry.
Actually, I didn't think in terms of being a professional performer initially. I started off by attending Michigan State University, studying veterinary medicine, then eventually I changed to pre-med. But because of the dancing, the regular dancing of the up-to-date dances at that time was locking, soul train, those type of dances, and I never in my life have I lost a dance contest. So one day on campus there was a party, and this tall young lady, she was about 6'3", came up to me and said, "Why are you here?" I said, "Why are you in school?" Because she said, in my mind, you go to school to obtain a trade or to eventually have a career where you have to learn prior to your career what you need to do, whereas you have a gift that you're not even aware of. So what are you going to do? Become a surgeon and then jump up on somebody's chest and start tap dancing? I wouldn't tap dance. What are you going to do? Jump up on and start tap dancing on them because that's what makes people feel good when people watch you dance? And it was, she didn't realize at the time, I was never thinking on those terms of being a performer. But that was the beginning where the seed was planted. So that my drive eventually, want became a drive to the point where there was no way that I was not going to go. So I spent 4 years, I spent 4 years, I had to change my major to engineering because I was in math and science. But you have to go extra years once you change your major. And I had already made my decision. I did my 4 years, I'm out of here. And so I went to New York. $45 and a pillow. Not knowing anyone other than family that said, family that were in New York that I had never met. And a cousin of mine said he had called them saying I was coming. So I took the bus, got there, and made the phone call from Port Authority. I said, "This is Alde." They said, "Who?" I said, "Alde." "Who?" Then I said, "What? Lee, rap. He's the one that said that he was going to call you to say that I was coming." And they said, "Oh, Lee, well, come on down." And so they told told me how to get there on the train, and that's how I got to New York.
Amazing. Were you, so you said you had been tapping then? Did you start
Oh, no,
dancing?
well, I say that in the sense that, I'm sorry. I say that in the sense that in the 5th grade, I did take some tap, you know, to learn what a shuffle is, what a ball chain is, and all this other stuff. So I at least knew that amount of tap. But actually getting started tap came out of a dare. That very home that I stayed for about a month and a half when I first got to New York, one of my cousins, he didn't understand what I meant when I said I was here to dance professionally. He had no concept. He was like, you mean like you're gonna dance in the clubs? I said, no, you know, Alvin Ailey, Diane McIntyre, and it was like, you know, it was going over his head, so all he thought of was dance. He said, well, you said you can dance. I said, yeah, I can dance. He said, you heard of the Apollo Amateur Hour? I hadn't. And he said, well, you need to go on there because they'll make sure that to let you know if you can dance. We are telling them they will be clear. You know, so on the day, I said, okay, I'll put something together and go do amateur at the Apollo. I get there and I did my dance. I won that evening. That person that just so happened to be the host who was in semi-retirement, and I didn't know who he was even after he said who he was, because I'm new and didn't really know the business, was Charles Honey Coles. And he says to me, after I had won, he came up to me and gave me this great big old hug, as if I was his son. And said, man, a dancer had won at the Apollo in 25 years. He said, and if you can take what I know that you hear, and he said, the reason I know that you hear because you syncopate in your body what other folks can't hear. So I know you hear it. If you can take that and put it into your feet, there'll be nothing in the world that can stop it. So he became my mentor.
And you learned tap for real from him?
Yes, well, even he said he didn't want to mess me up. Mm-hmm. So
that's high praise.
Yeah, he said. Yeah, he said, don't ever take class. He said, don't ever take class because I don't want you to become a cookie cutter dancer. He said that I know. But he said I don't want you to become a cookie cutter dancer because it's one thing to go and take class if you want to, you need to learn, you right on concept. But he said, I already know you have it. So what I want you to do is be able to take, right from the beginning, bring it from your heart and create what you hear, not what I'm going to give you. I'm going to give you some things. But that's just to give you a little base, you know, a little foundation. And to be able to say that this is what Honey used to do down the road. But outside of that, it's not about Honey. It's about you. So that's how.
That's an important lesson. Dance like yourself.
Yeah, bring it first.
Yeah. That's amazing. So, how long did you work with him?
Well, with Honey, it was one of these situations where we would call each other to just talk primarily because he was mentoring me in terms of the business. He already knew what I was doing behind the scenes, and then I remember him doing bubbly brown sugar. And I hadn't seen him at that time for about 6 months. And it was a period of time that later on I found out he did exactly the same thing when he was living in Philadelphia. I had gone into a cocoon. And so I would tap for 5, just like I was in a place that I could tap all day and all night and not get into trouble.
Right. It's not easy in New York.
Right. And so for about 6 months, I would tap 5 or 6 hours at a time. Just creating, not knowing what I'm doing, but creating and hearing. I found out that I was not doing steps according to what you consider as technique, but I was creating sounds by the way that my legs moved, not by what I was specifically doing with my feet. So I would create all these sounds that was going on by according to the way my legs felt in the movement. So that gave me the opportunity to be able to, without knowing it, to be an improvisationalist, because I'm not thinking ahead, I'm just doing from motion in my leg to motion in my legs.
That's amazing. When did you first start to perform on Broadway? Was it long after that?
No. I went to New York in 1975. So it was I had just come off the road with Cab Calloway, doing Cotton Club Revisited.
Well, that was before you were on Broadway.
Yes.
What was that show like? Cotton Club Revisited. I was going to ask about that. My sequence was out of order.
Yeah. Cotton Club Revisited was the tunes that Cab Calloway was famous for. So we, as performers, I was the featured tap dancer and MC. And the numbers that we would do was set, and then I would come out and improvise. Then he would there would be an intermission, and then he would come out and do the second act, all of the second act.
Cab Calloway.
Cab Calloway.
The Cab Calloway.
The Cab Calloway. Exactly.
So, was there swing dancing in that review as well?
Actually, it was.
Yeah?
So there was a number that Annie Joanne was my partner. She person. And I would come out and I would do my thing with my legs and what people consider vernacular dancing, while doing what we call swinging at the time. And the funny part of that was that, she was kind of heavy. So I would be swinging and just flying all around, she would just be standing still. I don't know what I'm doing. And then I would, to the music, at some point when you were supposed to flip the person, so I would come up and I would go under and I would say, and then she would look at me, and then she would lift her hands, she would put her hands under me and do like this, then I would jump as if she had thrown me up in the air. So it was a fun piece.
Do you remember some of the swing dance performers that you performed with in that review?
Bruce Hawkins, he recently passed away. There was Kirsten Childs. She eventually became a writer, and I think she's had a couple of things on Off-Broadway. So look at the name Kirsten Childs. She was one of the performers. Then there was Howard. I can't get her first name. First name, but she's the daughter of Elston Howard, the baseball player. Anyway, last name Howard, I can't think of it right. Cheryl Howard. Cheryl Howard.
I was doing a little bit of research before we talked, and I don't know if you performed this when it was in Washington, D.C., but two of the names that jumped out to me, I don't know if you had an opportunity to perform with them, but just to give you guys a little context, two names that I read in a review were Al Minns and Sugar Sullivan performing in the same show.
Who?
Al Minns and Sugar Sullivan. It might have been a different performance, but those are names that all of these dancers know. So and those are the top names, among the top names of Lindy Hoppers of all time. So that just puts in perspective the caliber of this show that you were a part of.
Yes.
Amazing. Amazing. And did you learn how to swing dance? Do you know how to swing dance?
I know how to swing.
Did you learn?
My family, we, even in Alabama, well, from Michigan, but my parents were from Alabama, they did a thing that's called swing. In fact, in my family, in order to be, we were very competitive about dancing, and that's all they did was swing. So I did not necessarily watch or see my uncle. They always spoke about him being the best dancer in the family until I came home. But it was, but then eventually they would never say one was better than the other. Just say, well, he was the best doing his era. And you're the best.
It's a good segue.
Yeah,
that's fair.
But for the most part, swing is pretty much what we pretty much did. I didn't call it swing. We didn't call it swing, you know. But that is what it is. And when I came to Houston, and I'm doing this show called Swing Baby Swing, as Andrea Cody was, you know, she's helped to produce the show, and you know, she brought these young folks around where she's teaching them how to swing, and they're part of the show. And so I'm watching them, and I do things naturally, so I just do a little bit of something. Once I know what the concept is, then I just flow with it. But there's still going to be a lot of improvisation that's going on, but everything that happens within this swing concept, you know, is there.
So then you made your way on Broadway. You were in a couple of Broadway shows.
Yes. When I had auditioned a couple of months prior to going on the road with Cap Calloway, and out of all people to show up the first day of rehearsal, we looked at each other and we just smiled. I didn't know that Honey was going to be starring in the show, and I was hired as one of the lead dancers for the chorus.
This was my one and only.
This is my one and only.
It's a Gershwin show.
Yes. Yeah, Tommy Toon from Houston. Tommy Toon and Tommy Walsh were choreographers, and Tommy Toon was the director, along with name skips me right now, but I'll come to it.
So, how was your Broadway experience?
The Broadway experience it was good. It was good. I did a couple shows with my one and only. I did it for the first 6 months. Then we did the Tony Awards with a number that I come out and do my little feature part. And then 2 weeks later, I put in my 2-week notice to leave the show. I'm not going to necessarily go into the reason why, but it's the norm of society.
No one.
And I just didn't want to deal with it, so I left. And I was kind of blackballed for a bit until a couple of years later.
You did another show.
Yeah,
the Fosse show.
That's the one that brought me out of being blackballed.
That was called Big Deal.
Yeah, Bob Fosse office called and said, "Look, we've heard, we know what's been going on, but we look for the best tap dancer in the country. And the word keeps getting back to me that you're actually the one. We have a role. Would you be interested in coming down, not to audition, because I want you in the show, but I want you to be seen by the producers for the role that I want you in. Would you be willing to come down?" I said, "Let me think about it."
You said yes.
Of course. You know, so I went, and they already had the role for me. So, and that was the role of Otis. Yeah, starring the other stars of the show, Tony Award winner Cleavon Derricks. Some of you may know. He also got the Tony from the original Dreamgirls. And also, he was nominated for the Tony for a Big Deal. Yeah.
Amazing. And then, after your time on Broadway, you also found your way into the movies?
Actually, it was my one once I left my one and only, 2 weeks later, I was hired to do the movie The Cotton Club.
You're working with some big names.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Coppola, Fosse.
And Fosse to me was the ultimate.
Yeah.
I mean, when you work with Fosse, everybody in the business knew that when you work with Fosse, there's no question in terms of your level of quality as a performer. And so just working with him allowed me to know where I stood. In fact, while working with Fosse, you know, there's steps in tap that are that you can do that's very flashy. And And so most tap dancers, when they're not about the real rhythm stuff, they go into flashy stuff to get the applause. So that's what usually brings applause. And one day I was in rehearsal, we were doing something, and one of the cats was doing this flashy stuff and looking good, right? So I said, I'm gonna go over and I'm gonna start doing that too. So I'm doing the flat, and Pastor came up to me and put me on the corner. He said, look, you don't have to do that. He said, he said, I have to do that. But he said, you need to do what you do, because what you bring is so different than people that I've seen over the years, that should be the applause and not all the flash. So I've stuck to that. But it was also in a matter of imitating the easiness of honey that I always wanted to make sure I had in my performing posture. But I don't have the legs, because he was kind of thin and tall. So he automatically had that flow. And I said, well, I want to see if I can create that flow even with the stature that I have. And most people have said that exactly what has happened.
Amazing. Why don't we don't have a lot of time, so I would love to just let some of these folks, they didn't see you on Friday. You had class yesterday and you're teaching.
I taught
today. So if you didn't catch Mr. Lewis, Bobby, can you show us just a little bit of the second clip we had, the Twisted Storytellers? Just I want to show you guys, make sure you get a little glimpse of the stylings that we've been talking about. So let's just have a quick look.
To the great jazz drummers of African American history, from Chick Ware of the Savoy to Billy Cowley, to the most recent person I saw just a couple years ago. Her name is Cindy Black. But now it's Cindy Blackman Santana, because she married Carlos Santana. So this is a tribute to those drummers.
Jazz drummers. Chick Webb is a big name among this crowd.
Yes.
Do you think that tap shares a lot with Lindy Hop and swing dancing? I know you were teaching to a group of people that don't necessarily have the same experience that a lot of your students might have. How would you maybe, or what advice would you maybe give to some swing dancers to help them with their swing dancing? What you've learned from tap?
Well, there are certain movements that are part of the flashy portion of tap that Lindy Hoppers actually are doing, like some of the breaks. To show, in fact, one of the steps I showed during the classes, part of the dance step is called the shim sham. Well, towards the end of the shim sham, there's a certain break that goes bop bop deep down. And I'm quite sure that that's part of a break that some of the Lindys will do. I remember as I was working with Norman Miller.
Norman Miller.
Right.
Working. Everybody knows what you're talking about when you say
Right. For the show Swing Baby Swing. By the way, the book is on her. The stories about her is a musical that we're creating, and she was trying to show the young cats that were there. She was saying, "Well, you need to do the break. You got to do the break. It's a half break. It's a half break." And I didn't know what she was talking about because, for the most part, I don't do the Lindy, but I know the movement. I can do the movement. So as she was telling me, she said, "Well, do the break." And so I started doing a break of what I thought she was saying. She said, "That's it. That's it." And in my mind, I'm going, "Oh, you talking about the break from the Shim Sham?" But I was doing the whole break. She wanted me to stop in the middle of it, so in my mind, I still would get the concept of what she was saying, but somebody else ended up doing half of what it is that I was doing. And then she said, "That's it." So I said, "Okay, that's it. So now y'all know what y'all need to do. Go ahead and do it." But in my mind, I still didn't know what it was.
That's pretty good, Norma.
Yeah.
Are there movements or concepts that you use as a tap dancer that you think would be useful to, in addition to just like the half break or some of the break or some of the kind of technical things that swing dancers or Lindy hoppers can learn? Are there kind of just more like maybe higher level concepts of syncopation or rhythm or listening to music in a different way that you might be able to give to swing dancers as a tap dancer?
Well, when you learn to tap, and most of the tap is done on your toes, and moving, going from side to side with board or there's travel, those very same steps that you're doing make your body move a certain way. So if you want to create a movement that comes strictly from you, as part of your improvisational period of movement while you're dancing, all you have to do is go into some form of a tap step that's on your toes. And you already created something that your body has to move that way. Not that you've taught yourself to move that way, but it moves naturally. So that's how you take yourself to that other level of creativity as a performer, is allowing your body to move according to the way that it moves naturally, as opposed to purposefully making your body move a certain way with a certain stature as you move, do all your movements as a dancer.
Excellent, that's amazing, thank you. We're out of time, believe it or not, but before I let Mr. Lewis go, I'm going to ask you the usual questionnaire that we ask our guests that we've done traditionally here. We've stolen this liberally from inside the actor's studio, who they themselves stole from Bernard Thibault, a French interviewer, so I don't feel bad about stealing this questionnaire, but it's too good to pass up. So just give me the first answer that comes to your mind with these 10 questions.
Okay.
Mr. Lewis, what is your favorite word?
My favorite word, love.
What is your least favorite word?
Lie.
What turns you on? You guys have heard this before. I mean, creatively, spiritually, emotionally.
What turns me on? What inspires me, in other words? Okay.
I guess I could have asked it that way. It's just
Rhythm.
I like that answer. What turns you off?
Lying.
What is your favorite curse word?
I don't curse.
It's fair. Apologize in advance for the kids in the crowd. What sound or noise do you love?
Tap. noise.
What sound or noise do you hate?
Dissonance.
What profession other than your own that you've had do you think you would like to attempt?
What other profession? Entrepreneurship, business.
What profession would you never do?
Porn.
I'm not even gonna touch that one. But it's a good segue to the last question. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Well, first, heaven does exist. Secondly, job well done.